मनोभिष्टं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our study of Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 2, Chapter 9. So please let us go through summary and we will continue. Please read someone.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, verses 1.1 to 8. Jiva worships Supreme Lord. Shri Shukadev Goswami explains that due to ignorance, the conditioned soul is engaged in the temporary varieties of material forms. But the Supreme Lord is always possessed of an eternal form of knowledge and bliss. Shukadev Goswami cites Lord Brahma's example to show that one can understand this difference by the process of Bhakti Yoga. Lord Brahma heard the words tapa tapa, immediately recognized them as the instruction of the Lord, and sat down on his lotus seat to engage in tapasya for 1000 celestial years. Verses 9 to 30. The Lord, being thus very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma, manifests his personal abode, Vaikuntha. The Lord then confirms that it was he himself who had previously ordered Brahma to undergo penance, and that penance is his heart and soul. Lord Brahma asks 4 questions, 26 to 29, so that he may act instrumentally to generate living entities without being conditioned by such activities nor victimized by pride. Verses 31 to 37. The Lord first tells Brahma that knowledge about him is confidential and must be realized by devotional service. 31 to 32. The Lord then explains 4 essential points about himself in 4 verses. Chatushloki Bhagavatam. By understanding this, one can remain free from pride. 33. The Supreme Lord alone exists before, during, and after the creation. 34. Whatever appears to exist without relation to him is his illusory energy. 35. The Lord exists within and outside of everything. 36. One must always search for him, the personality of Godhead.
Okay, bro. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll pause here. So till 30th we completed last time. So from the two sections we understood that how the questions asked by Parishit Maharaj to Sukadeva Goswami in chapter 8 were answered here. First question about how Jiva, though he is para, but still the living entity is caught up in this material body. How that happened, though he is a supreme or para in one sense, superior in nature, but how he came under the inferior nature, under the subjugation of Maya. So the answer is given that is because of Lord's illusory energy, by the will of the Lord and by the desire of the living entity. So Atma Maya, he comes under the control of material energy. How he can get rid of all this material energy, or how he can be liberated? By performing bhakti yoga. So that was experienced by Brahma, not conditioned, but the solution is given to Brahma that by performing bhakti, one can easily get rid of this conditioned state. Then to answer the second question, what is the difference between Supreme Lord and Jiva? Because now we are saying Jiva has a body and Supreme Lord also has a body. But what is the difference between these two bodies? Because Jiva got the body because of the material energy. He became under the subjugation of inferior energy. Now he has got the body. So is there any difference between these two bodies, Jiva and the Supreme Lord? So to explain that, to explain the second question by Parishit Maharaj, Sukadeva Swami, citing the conversation of Brahma and Lord himself in answering this question. And in the course of this conversation, the answer will be given that how Jiva's body, material body, and Supreme Lord is different. So in that same conversation comes the famous Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. So till 30 verses we have seen how the platform or the background is given, how Lord Brahma was doing. When he was born during his Padmakalpa, the first day of Brahma, he couldn't understand anything, what to do, who am I? The first question, who am I? Where am I? So that was Brahma's bewilderment. But seeing Brahma's bewilderment, Lord revealed the words only, tapa, tapa. Then Brahmaji, keeping faith in the sound vibration, though he could not see anyone who is a source of this vibration. So he performed tapasya with great faith and determination, thousand celestial years. Then he was revealed, the whole spiritual world revealed by Lord himself. And Lord himself was talking to Brahma that I am very much pleased by your tapasya. And tapasya, I am the tapasya. That's what Lord also mentions, that glorifies the tapasya. I am very much pleased by tapasya. Because of tapasya only, I also create, maintain and destroy the universes. So tapasya is not different from me. That's what Lord tells to Brahma. And then Lord asks, okay, you ask some benedictions. So the Brahmaji says that, my dear Lord, you know everything. But still, I will ask about 4 questions. So then he asked about four questions. So that forms the basic 4 questions for the Lord to answer. Does anyone remember some question out of 4? What were the questions? Any one of you want to say what were the questions? 4 questions asked by Brahma. Anyone remembers? It's already a week. What we remember? Anything, I mean, at least in the connection with what? What Brahmaji asked? Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, first question was, how did the jiva who is spiritual attain a body which is material?
You are saying about the Parikshit Maharaj questions. Now I am asking Brahmaji asked question to Lord.
Prabhuji, please tell me about your material and spiritual forms.
Good. So that was the first question. What is the... My dear Lord, we understand that because Lord revealed the supreme spiritual form. My dear Lord, we understand your form. I understand, but can you please explain, is there any other form also exists? What are the forms? Para and apara. So these two forms. That's the first question. Okay. Then next, Surikant Prabhuji.
How are your different energies working?
Oh, yeah. How your different energies or the Shaktis, Atmamaya and Yogamaya. So these two energies are how they are manifesting, how they are working. Okay. What is the third one? Maybe you can refer also your books or your notes or Bhagavatam.
What are the Lord's activities in relation to his material and spiritual energies?
Yeah, now you explain, you asked, Brahmaji asked, okay, what are your energies? Atmamaya and Yogamaya. The next question is related to that, how you play with those two energies, how you do your activities or play. That's like the example is given by given of the Urnanavi, the spider example is given. What is playing like that? So how our two energies, you play with two, Kridasi, how you play with this these two energies. Okay. Last question. Anyone?
Mercy for the Lord services.
Yeah, mercy. Before that, he asked what?
For that, please bestow your mercy for my execution of your instructions without pride and bondages.
Yeah, please instruct me how to execute all these activities without pride and without any kind of mada, arrogance, or lethargy, pride and lethargy. So if you do one activity very expertly and effectively, you may get pride. And if you are not doing any activity, it's becoming, then the other side become lethargy. I don't want to do anything at all. That's another side. So both sides are dangerous. Any service we take up, if we don't have enthusiasm, then we go towards the lethargy side. Oh, I know by taking up service, what will happen to people? They become so arrogant, so proud, and I don't want to take any service, any responsibility. I am on borderline. I will say Haribol. Those who take up. That is one side. We should, that, of course, I mean, we should definitely judge when we are taking a service, definitely. But it is always a mandatory to have some responsibilities in life, especially in spiritual life. So on one side, we say Haribol, without any taking up serious responsibilities. That is kind of lethargy. On the other side, we take up, I am the one who will take up. I am the one who can do it. No one else can do it. That is pride, that side. So without these two, without in the sense that we need to balance that I have some responsibility and I will carry out according to the time, place, circumstances with my capacity to please superiors. So that's what Brahmaji is praying in the last instance. Please instruct me so that I execute your will without any pride and lethargy. Okay, that's what the 4 questions. And then now 31 to 37. These are 7 verses spoken by Lord. And these are the 7 verses, the famous verses. This is called Srimad Bhagavatam, in the sense that of course Lord spoke many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam. But as mentioned by His Grace Chaitanya Prabhu, that the number of verses spoken by Lord in Bhagavatam or in Bhagavad Gita also quite less than all other verses. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita at least the Lord spoke quite an extent. Of course, Lord is speaking more in Bhagavad Gita. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see only quite few verses. First canto almost very few, 50 or 30 or 40, maybe maximum. So, but these are the 4 verses, 7 verses in fact, and the 4 verses are main. Spoken by Lord Himself to Brahmaji, the original Srimad Bhagavatam. This is only expanded later on by Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva to Sukadeva Goswami, Sukadeva Goswami to Parishit Maharaj, and so on and so forth. Disciplic section. The explanations and the expanding the Srimad Bhagavatam happened. So that will come in the later chapter of this later sections of this chapter. We will see that one. So these original 4 verses, 4 questions answered by Supreme Lord, to establish the fact that the spiritual abode and the Supreme Personality Himself are existing, and they are not simply an illusion. And what Mayavadis or impersonalists propound, the theory of impersonalism, only void exists, or nothing variegated exists in the spiritual world, that are being defeated by these 4 verses. So why these 4 verses are so famous, are so in terms of very essential to understand or crucial to go through? Because a lot of misrepresentation or misinterpretation was given, saying that these 4 verses explain only impersonalism. So that's how our acharyas, many acharyas wrote many commentaries on these 4 verses. I think Gaudiya Press, they published one book itself on commentaries of acharyas on these 4 verses. There is a Hindi book, one is available. I heard, I didn't see. As the only explanation of these 4 verses by all the acharyas, starting from Jiva Goswami and all, even Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhaktivedanta Thakur. So they all wrote commentaries on these 4 verses. That shows the emphasis and the essentiality of this topic. The topic is simple. Basically, it establishes the personality of Godhead before creation, during creation, and after creation. How He is the personality, Supreme Personality exists, and how we need to develop a relation with Him. So this is one of the main topic of Chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam. We will see more in detail. Of course, this class and tomorrow's class, we are going to dedicate only maybe 3-4 verses, 4-5 verses. We will see in detail, and we will read the purports also, quite lengthy purports. The same basic understanding of contrasting with impersonalism, and Lord Himself is expressing, and Acharya's explanations we will see a little bit. So mostly today and tomorrow, if possible, in the next class we will complete this one. His Sakshat Prabhu allowed that at least 4 or 5 classes can be dedicated to 9th chapter, and then 2 classes maybe for 10th chapter. Then it will be total around 7 or 8 if possible. See, let us see accordingly. We'll complete this one. But that's the main point of the section, establishing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, but these 4 questions will be answered in due course. What Brahmaji asked in these 4 verses. Okay, so last we'll continue our discussion from 31. So 30th verse till 30, Brahmaji prayed to Lord, and at the last he said, "My dear Lord, please let me not become proud while executing with your instructions. Mame samunnadho mado ajamaninaha." So let me not become proud. I pray that all this may not give rise to pride, as if I were the supreme. So that we have seen the last class. Mame samunnadhamado ajamaninaha, thinking that I am supreme, or I am the unborn. Unborn here in the sense that I am the Swarat. I am the independent controller. Let me not think like that. Let me carry on your duties, your act, your will. Carry on to execute your will with submissive and service attitude. Okay, text 31. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Jnanam Parama Guhyam Me Yadvijnana Samanvitam Sarahasyam Tatangam Cha Grahana Gaditam Maya. Please read.
The personality of Godhead said, "Knowledge about me as described in the scripture is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully."
Yeah. So this is the summary verse or the seed verse that Lord is going to speak in these 4 verses. So as I highlighted, the terms correlate to the highlighted colors. Knowledge about me, the Jnanam Paramaguhyam Me. I will explain what you asked, my dear Brahma. I will give the knowledge along with realization. Vijnana Samanvitam, Yad Vijnana Samanvitam. Not just theoretical knowledge, but you will be able to realize that knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Paramaguhyam. This is very confidential. What is that confidential? That will be explained. So the very confidential knowledge. So Brahma Gyan itself is a confidential. Guhyam. Paramaguhyam means the form of the Lord is the most confidential or supreme confidential subject matter. Paramaguhyam. So here Acharyas explains this Jnanam means, are you able to hear my voice? Am I audible properly?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, bro.
So the Jnanam here is explained that the Paramaguhya Jnanam is not just Brahma Jnana or the realization of the impersonal Brahma, but the supreme form of the Lord. That is referring here Jnanam. The supreme personality is explained in terms of, he is referred as Paramaguhyam, Paramaguhya Jnanam. That is Lord is saying. I will explain about that, about my abode and my form. Along with the realization also. It's not just theoretical understanding. Then Sarahasyam Tadangam Cha. Sarahasyam here in conjunction with devotional service. These terms we will explain later. So the Sarahasyam, what is that Rahasya? Along with Rahasya, that Rahasya is a devotional service. The Shuddha Bhakti. That Shuddha Bhakti, by practicing which we can realize that supreme form is Rahasyam, is confidential. So that Rahasyam is considered as a devotional service. Tadangam. So what is the Anga of that Rahasyam? That Anga itself is what is the practice? What Brahmaji asked, please instruct me about what to do, how to do it. So that will be considered as the Angam or the sadhana to achieve. So I just made a kind of tabular form, taking help of many other sources. I'll just show the PPT, so the slide I will show, so you will be able to understand. So This is the. Are you able to see?
Yes, Roji.
Okay. So this is the short form of a table. So Brahmaji asked here the question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, left hand side in the verses numbers. And these are the questions in the column 2. What are your spiritual and material forms? And the second question about your different energies and you play with energies. Third question 28, 29, 10. Please instruct me how to serve. So these will be answered in these 4 verses. There are 33, 34, 35, 36. This is called Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavatam. 2, 9, 33 to 36. So what is the seed verse is saying? So that Jnanam, the supreme form, will be explained in 33. What is the supreme most confidential form will be explained by the Lord himself in 33. Then the realization, along with the realization is also said, how to realize that, or what kind of realization you need to have complete understanding of the Supreme Lord will be given with 34 Vijnanam. Rahasyam, the devotional service, 35, and Angam is 36. So actually these are all non-different, or they are categorized into 3. Our whole Srimad Bhagavatam is also categorized into 3 terms, at Sambandha, Vidya, and Prayojan. So whole Vedas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while he was conversing with Prakashana Saraswati and Varanasi Mayavadis, then he spoke the beautiful section we have in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And also he gives in Sanatana Siksha also it comes. In 2 places in Chaitanya Charitamrita also comes these 4 verses. Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavatam. So there also Prabhupada explains. Prabhupada explains in the Adilila little more elaborately. In Madhyalila, he just says that you just refer to Adilila, these 4 verses. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes these 4 verses to Mayavadis or Varanasis, Mayavadis, to explain about how Srimad Bhagavatam itself is establishing the personality of Godhead. And he says about this all the Vedas divided into 3 sections. The knowledge which is gives our Sambandha, the knowledge which explains about Avidheya, the process, and the knowledge which explains about Prayojan. All the Vedas are divided into these 3 sections. Even Srimad Bhagavatam, the knowledge, explains about these 3 aspects, all the knowledge. So that's how Acharyas also explain that the first 2 verses, 33 and 34, explain the Sambandha Gyan, our relationship with the Lord, and about Lord also, the knowledge about the supreme form of the Lord, Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha means the relationship, the knowledge about relationship that we have with the Lord. And also knowledge of relationship with the material nature and the Lord. Yeah, that also we need to understand. You have to have complete understanding. Then, of course, the Abhideya comes in the text 4, question 4, or text 36, as it is explained as Angam. Sadhana Bhakti is called Abhideya. Explains about the process. By which process if we follow, by following which process we can attain the ultimate realization. So that is the process. Of course, the elements of sadhana bhakti, and this all comes under abhideya. How to carry out devotional service, what to do, what not to do. Because in order to attain prayojan, prema bhakti, there are many rules and regulations. So the text 35 explains devotional service rahasyam is a prayojana prema bhakti. We cannot attain just by doing anything and everything. So there should be some process to attain particular thing. So there may be some offenses, there will be some things to avoid, things which are favorable and things which are unfavorable. Anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjana. So understand that is the abhideya process. Otherwise, if abhideya is not clear, or if the abhideya is very hazy, then we cannot attain to prayojan. Right? Just like if you don't know how to cook, or you don't know exactly the process to cook particular item, either sweet or a sabji or anything, then we will end up in something else will come out instead of sweet. It may become it can become upma also. So we need to understand the process. One time, initially, I was doing in the kitchen. So we thought of making buttermilk by hand churning. Initially, it was initially. So I said, okay, I will do it, because from my childhood, I used to do in my home also. I know how to do it. Yeah, I know everything and I can do it. So they said, okay. Then we took the curd. I took the curd and put the churning rod in the curd. And I added water. I mean, I remember a little bit what I have done. So I added a lot of water and started churning. Churning 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour. Nothing is happening. So in process of buttermilk churning, the butter has to come out. Right, that is the end of the process. And then nothing is happening. Then I asked the cook, "Hey, it's not nothing is happening. What is happening?" So then he said, "See, there is a process for churning the curd. If you churn the curd by adding a lot of water initially in the first itself, then it's very difficult to bring out the butter. It becomes quite tough, quite laborious. It may come or may not come based on the time of the day as well. If the sun comes up in the day around 10, 11, 12, then butter will not come out. It is already melted inside. You said you have to churn the curd itself at least some amount of time, 15, 20 minutes. Only the curd, no adding water. Then only after churning the curd itself for some time, then you add water, especially cold water, because the cold water makes the butter makes it a foam, because the small heat also makes the butter melt. By adding cold water, butter becomes accumulated more easily. That's what he said. Oh, that's the process. So the next day we did the process. It's quite easy. It becomes so easy to remove the butter. After 20 minutes, 30 minutes of churning, you just add the water, immediately butter comes out, floats on the water. So afterwards, maybe 5-10 minutes you churn so that it is consistency is maintained properly. So unless you know the process, if you think that I know everything, then it becomes quite difficult. So the process has to be extremely clear. What we are doing, where we are going, how we are going. So the abhideya has to be extremely clear. So then we have the prayojan. So that's why all the knowledge about offenses, knowledge about pratikula, anukula, all this has to be clear, so that we are performing vidaya very perfectly to achieve prayojan, to get exact prayojan, prema bhakti, and also in a short time. Yeah. If the process is becoming more and more dilute, as I mentioned example, so it becomes more and more lengthy or laborious, or further consequences will happen, right? So that's the importance of understanding our process and trying to continue to achieve the result, exact result in short time, or whatever, with easiness as well. In short time, the perfect result without any difficulty. Okay, this is the seed verse, and there is explanation of connection with this verse to coming up verses. So the Jnanam basically includes the supreme form of the Lord, Paramaguhya Jnanam, the supreme form of the Lord, and abode, along with realization, the same, and the devotional service and necessary sadhana bhakti for that. Yeah. Okay, please read. Starting.
Lord Brahma is the topmost devotee of the Lord within the universe, and therefore the personality of Godhead replied to his four principal inquiries in four important statements, which are known as the original Bhagavatam in 4 verses. These were Brahma's questions. 1. What are the forms of the Lord, both in the matter and in the transcendence? 2nd, how are different energies of the Lord working? 3rd, how does Lord play with his different energies? 4. How may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty he entrusted to him?
Yeah, these are the 4 questions we discussed. Yeah. Please continue.
The prelude to the answers is this verse under discussion, wherein the Lord informs Brahma that knowledge of him, the supreme absolute truth, as it is stated in the revealed scriptures, is very subtle and cannot be understood unless one is self-realized by the grace of the Lord. The Lord says that Brahma may take the answers as he explains them. This means that transcendental knowledge of the absolute supreme being can be known if it is made known by the Lord himself.
Yeah, continue.
Why cannot by my own endeavor? By the mental speculation of the greatest mundane thinkers, the absolute truth cannot be understood. The mental speculators can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman realization, but factually, complete knowledge of transcendence is beyond the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Thus, it is called the supreme confidential wisdom.
Yeah. So here what is explained is Paramaguhya Jnanam. That's why Prabhupada is always using the supreme confidential wisdom. So the words used, it's more confidential. Yeah. So Paramaguhya Jnanam. That is, it's very subtle and cannot be understood unless one is self-realized by the grace of the Lord. So Lord also mentioned Madanugrahat. You will able to understand Madanugrahat. We discussed about how it's not just our endeavor. Only by the mercy of the Lord we will able to understand the things as they are. So knowledge has to be revealed. The famous verse of Prabhupada many times he quotes this verse, Yatha deve tata guru tasya hi karita artha prakashante mahatma yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tata guru. The knowledge will be revealed. So that is talking about Jnanam. Jnanam paramaguhyam me yad vijnana samanvitam. So that was explained by Prabhupada. Please read.
Devotional service is rare because it is rahasyam. Out of many liberated souls, someone may be qualified to know the personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said by the Lord himself that out of many hundred of thousands of people, one may try for perfection in human life, and out of many liberated souls, one may know him as he is. Therefore, the knowledge of the personality of Godhead may be attained by devotional service only. Rahasya means devotional service. Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita because he found Arjuna to be a devotee and friend. Without such qualifications, one cannot enter into the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one cannot understand the personality of Godhead love of Godhead. Therein lies the main qualification for knowing the mystery of the personality of Godhead.
Yeah. Continue.
What to do to attain the mystery, love of Godhead? And to attain the stage of transcendental love of Godhead, one must practice the regulative principles of devotional service. Practicing these regulative principles is called Vidhi Bhakti or regulative devotional service of the Lord, and they can be practiced by a neophyte with his present senses. Such regulative principles are mainly based on hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord, and such hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord can be made possible in the association of devotees only. Lord Chaitanya therefore recommended 5 main principles for attaining perfection in the devotional service of the Lord. First is association with devotees, hearing. Second is chanting the glories of the Lord. Third, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the pure devotee. Fourth, residing in a holy place connected with the Lord. And fifth, worshipping the deity of the Lord with devotion. Such rules and regulations are parts of devotional service. So, as requested by Lord Brahma, the personality of Godhead will explain all about the 4 questions put forward by Brahma and others also, which are parts and parcels of the same questions.
Yeah. So here Prabhupada explained all the 4 in more detail about explaining what is Rahasyam, what is the Angam, and Jnanam, Vijnanam. So here Prabhupada emphasized on how these 5 potent processes are essential for our sadhana bhakti. Of course, we might have read in NOD 64 principles and the 5 main principles to attain perfection. So such rules and regulations are parts of devotional service. That's why it's called Angam, parts of devotional service. Sarahasyam Tudangam, they're parts. So Krishna will explain now about these 4 things. Text 32. Yavanaham yatha bhavo yadrupa gunakarmakaha tathaiva tattva vijnanam astu me madanugrahat. Please read.
All of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let all be awakened within you by factual realization, out of my causeless mercy.
So here, mainly Supreme Lord is saying that I will give you the knowledge along with realization, Rahasyam, Angam. Please take them. Please take it as a reveal, and he's giving blessings here to the Brahmaji. Hey, Supreme Lord is giving blessings in this verse also. In the last verse also, he says he gives the benediction that you may realize as I spoke these verses, as I reveal this knowledge to you. So Madanugraha, just like Tattva Vijnanamastu, just like Lord blesses, we hear about blessings. Tathastu, Kalyanamastu, Krishna Matirastu. So these are all different blessings by the Lord and also devotees. Similarly, here he is blessing Brahmaji. Tattva Vijnanamastu. So let that be awaken in you. Tattva Vijnanam, actual realized knowledge. The truth may, by my causeless mercy, be revealed in your heart. So Brahmaji realizes the essence by all these 4 verses that he is the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada explains about Madhanugrahat, what is meant by receiving the mercy of the Lord, why it is essential. Please read.
The secret of success is in understanding the intricacies of knowledge of the absolute truth. The personality of Godhead is the causeless mercy of the Lord. 1.
Yeah.
Even in the material world, the father of many sons discloses the secret of his position to the pet son. The father discloses the confidence unto the son whom he thinks worthy. Second, an important man in the social order can be known by his mercy only. Similarly, one must be very dear to the Lord in order to know the Lord. The Lord is unlimited. No one can know him completely, but one's advancement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord can make one eligible to know the Lord. Here we can see that the Lord is sufficiently pleased with Brahmaji, and therefore he offers his causeless mercy to him, so that Brahmaji may have the factual realization of the Lord by his mercy only.
So the mercy of the Lord, only by mercy of the Lord we can realize anything. Just like Prabhupada gives example of the sun. In the night, we cannot see neither ourselves nor anything else surrounding us, nor even sun itself. But when the sun rises, everything becomes clear. We can see ourselves, we can see things around, we can see the sun itself. So that's the mercy of the Lord. Just like once Giriraj Maharaj giving one example about understanding the mercy of the Lord. So he mentioned that how it's like making samosa. By making samosa, we all, mothers know making samosas. I don't know about Prabhuji's. Some may definitely know. So making samosa, you need to make sabji, and then you have to make dough, then cut into proper shapes, and then fill the stuff in the samosa, and then fry it. So he explained that sadhana bhakti means that you come to the point of you prepare your cut sabji and make the chonk and put the sabji, cook the sabji properly, add masalas, and then you stuff the cooked sabji in the covering made of dough. So till that point is called sadhana bhakti. Then if you want to make samosa, we need to put into hot oil. So that hot oil is the mercy of the Lord. So without the hot oil, there is no question of making samosa, right? The samosa only is cooked properly, or it's called samosa only when it is fried in oil, or fried in ghee, especially to the Lord. Then only it's called samosa. So he's comparing that till the point where we make samosas, that is up to in our hands. So the hot oil will be given by the Lord. That is the mercy of the Lord. When Krishna's mercy comes, then everything will happen. So that's just to explain, emphasis on the mercy. So that example is very profound. Unless you have mercy of hot oil, there is no question of making samosa. Or it's just a raw samosa. It's not even samosa as well. So we all need definitely the mercy of the Lord to realize Him, because it's not our endeavors. We can understand Him as He is. Please, how to attract that mercy? Please read. Prabhupada explains faith in spiritual master and supreme Lord. Please read.
In the Vedas also it is said that the person cannot know the absolute truth, personality of Godhead simply by dint of mundane education or intellectual gymnastic. One can know the supreme truth if one has unflinching faith in the bona fide spiritual master as well as in the Lord. Such a faithful person, even though illiterate in the mundane sense, can know the Lord automatically by the mercy of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said that Lord Krishna reserves
That the Lord reserves.
that the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone, and he keeps himself concealed from faithless by his Yogamaya potency.
Yeah. So he maintains that it's like in South Indian Brahmana and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime. Though that Brahmana was illiterate, but Supreme Lord revealed Himself, and he is able to see the Lord while he's reading Bhagavad Gita. So definitely, if we have capacity and if we have the ability and interest, and we need to go through scriptures, definitely we can study, because many acharyas, they dwelled on scriptures, understood. We need to also have that kind of Siddhanta baliya chitta nakore alas. So we need to, Chaitanya explains that we cannot be lazy on understanding the philosophy, Siddhanta. At the same time, if we cannot and if we are unable, then it's definitely Krishna's special mercy will be there to reveal from in the heart. But if we have capacity and ability and interest, we need to strive ourselves more and to understand about the philosophy as well. Okay, now he explained Madanugrahat. Prabhupada explained till Madanugrahat, the word and in the verse Krishna is saying. Actually, one Jiva Goswami comment is that these 7 verses spoken by Krishna himself. So generally we hear this is a conversation between Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu and Brahmaji. That's what in general understanding as well. But specifically Krishna spoke these verses to Brahmaji in particular Kalpa. That's what one more comment of Jiva Goswami. Krishna himself revealed this knowledge to Brahmaji. Tene Brahmate Adikavaye. So here Brahmaji was blessed by the Lord. By my mercy you will be able to understand Madanugrahat. So now Prabhupada starts explaining about the verse itself. Please read. Yavanaham. To the faithful.
To the faithful, the Lord reveals himself in his form, qualities, and pastime. The Lord is not formless, as wrongly conceived by the impersonalists, but his form is not like one that we have experienced. The Lord discloses his form even to the extent of measurement to his pure devotee. And this is meaning of the Yavan, as explained by Srila Jiva Goswami, the greatest scholar of Srimad Bhagavatam.
So Yavanaham, the verse itself saying Yavanaham yatha bhavo yadrupa gunakarmakaha tathaiva tattva jnanam. So what is going to reveal is Krishna is revealing here Yavan, that Yavanaham, as I am in eternal form, that will be revealed to you. What is that form? That will be explained in the coming verses. But this Yavan is exclusively mentioning that, as Prabhupada, following the Acharyas, Prabhupada explaining even to the extent of measurement. Okay, when he comes in Rama avatar, in Narasimha avatar, how his form will be, what are his hands and teeth and his legs and his beauty, to the extent of measurements. So there's the Yavan meaning. To that details, Lord is going to reveal to Brahmaji, Yavan. So that the Yavan word is explaining that his form, even up to the measurements, how much height he will be, how much his the bodily features are, what are the bodily features in different avatars. So all these will be revealed. That's the Yavan, he will reveal, saying. Okay, explanation Yatha Bhavo. Next term, please read.
The Lord discloses the transcendental nature of his existence. The mundane wranglers make mundane conception of the form of the Lord. It is said in the revealed scriptures that the Lord has no mundane form, and therefore a person with a poor fund of knowledge conclude that he must be formless. They cannot distinguish between mundane form and the spiritual form. According to them, without a mundane form, one must be formless. This conclusion is also mundane because formless is the opposite conception of form. Negation of the mundane conception does not establish a transcendental fact.
So the second term, Yatha Bhavo is transcendental nature of his existence. How he is existing, his abode, his paraphernalia, his consorts, all the devotees, his transcendental nature of existence is described in Yatha Bhavo. As Prabhupada mentioning, generally people say, especially here, the whole contrast is made with Mayavad or impersonalism. So always Prabhupada, that is the main, of course, we have only 2 understandings, Akar and Sakar and Nirakar. Nirakara, Brahmajyoti and Sakar Rup of the Lord. So many of the atheists, not atheists, many of the impersonalists especially, they establish how Supreme Brahman is impersonal in nature. It doesn't have any form, it doesn't have any kind of variegatedness or existence in different varieties. So for that, Prabhupada is saying here that just by negating mundane form doesn't establish the transcendental fact. Just by negating one thing, then it doesn't establish another thing. Okay, we say that okay, there is no house. If a house is there, then you break the house. Then we say that now house became unlimited. So that's the understanding of Mayavadis. That is, you break the form of one thing, then it becomes unlimited immediately. No, but that's not that doesn't just, both are now house you broken. That is also, they are lying, the remnants are lying there. That is also material only. So in that sense, that's the Prabhupada establishing that negating the form, it doesn't establish the transcendental fact. It is another form, another mundane fact only, the formlessness. So that's Prabhupada is saying. Formless therefore means devoid of mundane form or possessing a spiritual body, of which the non-devotee can have no conception by speculative method. So Prabhupada is here saying about the Sachidananda form of Brahmata, quoting from Brahma Samhita. A spiritual body is not formless. It is a different type of body of which we cannot conceive with our present mundane senses. So right now it's quite difficult to conceive a spiritual body at the same time, which is not according to laws of material nature, which is not without eating, a form can live without sleeping, without doing, without deteriorating in time, right? Without producing all kinds of nonsense substances from the body. So quite difficult because we are in the body from this life and millions of lifetimes, where we are conditioned by that consciousness, conditioned consciousness. Quite difficult to comprehend what kind of body that is. But from the Shastra, from the Acharyas, and from our logical understanding as well, we are different from the body. At least that fact is also established by even scientific community. The reincarnation research is well documented fact in many books. Ivan Evanston, you might have definitely heard in our DYS sessions, that reincarnation is a well established fact in medical science also. Many cases. The how we are different from the body. Though we change the body, we had that the remembrances of past life. Not we, in the sense that those who are especially are under the case studies. There are many cases who exhibited the remembrances from past life. And it's a well established fact that how we are different from the body. We are spirit soul. And the spirit soul has a particular relationship with the Lord and particular form. So that's the point here. Prabhupada explaining that one. Now, Yatha Yavan Yatharupo, that's how he is having a transcendental forms with measurements, and also his existence, his paraphernalia is explained. Now Yadrupa Gunat Karmakaha. So he's explained now. He has his own features, his own qualities, his own activities. These are all just indicating, not just indicating, these are all proving that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, has his own spiritual form, and his existence and his activities is clearly mentioned in this verse. So by this, we need to understand that there is no point in proclaiming that the Supreme Lord is impersonal in his highest sense. Because Krishna himself is saying that all these are revealed by my mercy. If Brahman is there, where is the question of activities? The Brahman, Nirakara, Nirguna Brahman, there is no question of Rupa, there is no question of Guna, there is no question of activity. The moment you say Rupa, Guna and Karma, there has to be form, there has to be personality, there has to be some sentiments. So, sentient beings. So that's what established in this verse by the Lord himself. Please read.
The Lord has unlimited numbers of transcendental qualities, and one of them is his affection for his unalloyed devotee. In the history of the...
No. From topic and read. The Lord discloses.
Sorry, Prabhu. The Lord discloses to the devotee his unlimited varieties of transcendental bodies, all equal with one another, but with different kinds of bodily features. Some of the transcendental bodies of the Lord are blackish, and some of them are whitish. Some of them are reddish, and some are yellowish. Some of them are four-handed, and some of them two-handed features. Some of them are like a fish, and some are like a lion species. All these different transcendental bodies of the Lord, without any differential category, are disclosed to devotees of Lord by the mercy of the Lord. And thus the impersonalists' false arguments claiming the formlessness of supreme truth do not appeal to a devotee of the Lord, even though such a devotee may not be very advanced in devotional service. The Lord has unlimited numbers of transcendental qualities, and one of them is his affection for his unalloyed devotee. In the history of mundane world, we can appreciate his transcendental qualities. The Lord incarnates himself for the protection of his devotees and for the annihilation of faithless. Shall I continue?
Continue.
His activities are in relationship with his devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of such activities of the Lord in relationship with his devotees, and the non-devotees have no knowledge of such pastimes. The Lord lifted the Govardhan hill when he was only 7 years old and protected his pure devotees at Vrindavan from the wrath of Indra, who was overflooding the place with rain. Now, this lifting of Govardhan hill by a 7-year-old boy may be unbelievable for the faithless, but for the devotees, it is absolutely believable. The devotee believes in the almighty potency of the Lord, while the faithless say that the Lord is almighty but do not believe it. Such men with a poor fund of knowledge do not know that the Lord is the Lord eternally, and that one cannot become the Lord by meditation for millions of years or by mental speculation for billions of years. Conclusion. The impersonal interpretation of mundane wranglers is completely refuted in this verse, because it is clearly stated here that the Supreme Lord has his qualities, form, pastimes, and everything else that a person has. All these descriptions of the transcendental nature of personality of Godhead are factual realizations by devotee of the Lord, and by the causeless mercy of the Lord, they are revealed to his pure devotee and to no one else.
So Prabhupada explained in detail about how his forms, his existence, and his yat rupa guna karmakaha. Rupa in the sense, in terms of colors, in terms of features, in terms of species, in terms of activities with his devotees, such as lifting Govardhan hill and performing different pastimes. So all these establish the fact that he is the personality who is existing. And these are all will be revealed by my mercy. That's what he is blessing Brahmaji. So he will have definitely realization of all this by my mercy. So then Lord starts explanation about from 33 to 36. He's giving explanation of more about his questions. Brahmaji asked 4 questions. So the questions will be answered now, one by one. Just like Parishit Maharaj, just like Brahmaji asked 4 in sequence, Lord is also answering in sequence. That we will see this one. Ahamevasam nanyat yat sadasat param paschadaham yadetaccha yo avashishyeta sosmyaham. Please read.
Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead.
Yeah. Ahamevasam nanyat yat sadasat param paschadaham yadetaccha so avashishyeta sosmyaham. So this was introduction is given that after by Vishnu Thakur, that after promising knowledge, the jnanam promised where promised in the verse jnanam paramagohyam me yat vijnana samanvitam sarahasyam tadankam cha. That verse he explains that he promised the knowledge, I will give you everything, and he also gave benedictions. He also gave blessings. The Supreme Lord gave blessings by giving qualifications, or blessings. In the introductory 2 verses, the last 2 verses, 31 and 32, Lord said that I will give all the knowledge along with realization and about the devotional service and the prema bhakti also, everything. And he blessed also in the last verse, Madanugrahat, he will realize everything. Now, Lord is now teaches the first aspect of knowledge, Jnanam. So the 33 verses, 33rd verse is saying about Jnanam, Sambandha Jnana. Concerning what? The first question was, Para Rupa, spiritual and material forms. So the first question was asked about, I want to know about Para and Apara Rupa, the material forms and spiritual forms. So that was answered here by Supreme Lord. So the text, the knowledge of the form of the Lord is revealed, Jnana, knowledge. So now Prabhupada explains by word by word, mostly, explaining about how these words refer to the supreme form of the Lord, and when it is formed, when it is existing, how it is existing. These are all very much detailed analysis is done by all the acharyas, and Prabhupada is following in their footsteps and is elaborating more and more on these terms. So that's the aham, and we'll just see the verse, what is exactly verse is saying as per translation, that Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation. So aham evasam eva agre. Agre means what? Agre means before creation. So this is the when Brahmaji to his race, he is saying Brahmaji, just now the Kalpa started, Brahmaji born and Brahmaji was bewildered, and then Brahma did tapasya, and Lord is revealing the knowledge. So Lord is revealed his own abode and his form, everything. And then Brahmaji's questions were asked. Now Krishna is explaining about the whole understanding about himself and the creation and everything. He is explaining in these 4 verses. So Agre means before creation. That means whole pralaya happened. Agre. When there was no creation, Agra in the before creation, who exists? Aham evasam. I only exist. I only exist. There is nothing else. So Agre means before creation. Before creation means there was pralaya. Pralaya, I hope you know there are 4 types of pralayas. Anybody knows that 4 different kinds of pralayas? There are 4 kinds of pralayas that is explained.
Yes, Prabhuji. One is at the time of devastation and the end of Brahma's day. Then second is the end of Brahma's life. Third is when the body is extinguished in the 5 elements.
Okay.
And fourth is body is changing every time.
Good. Very good. So almost right, definitely. So yeah, in essence, these 4 are there. They are called Nitya Pralaya. Nitya Pralaya means every moment there is a destruction here. In the body, in the material world, with material aspects. There is every moment there is a destruction. Nitya Pralaya. Naimittika Pralaya is a day of Brahma when he goes to sleep. There is a small Pralaya. That is also Naimittika Pralaya. Then there is a Prakritik Pralaya. Prakriti Pralaya. So that is the end of life of Brahma. So once the 100 years of Brahma life is over, then the whole Brahmaji gives up the body, then there is a whole pralaya itself. So the whole everything goes into the body of Mahavishnu. So that's the Prakritik Pralaya. Atyantik Pralaya Atyantik pralaya is when the living entity gives up this body and becomes liberated from the whole cycle of birth and death, and he goes back home, back to God. That is called Atyantik pralaya. So these are 4 pralayas. So what is now it is referred here, Agre, which kind of pralaya? Which pralaya is talking here, Agre? Ahameva Sameva Agre.
Prabhuji, it must be, I think, when Brahma is dissolved.
Correct. When Brahmaji life is over, when Prakritik Pralaya happened, so that Agre is talking about. The Supreme Lord is referring here, Ahameva Sameva Agre. I only existed, I only exist before the creation, means that nothing is there. That is spoken in the next word, next line. Nanyat, nothing else is there. Na anyat. So I only exist. Ahameva Sameva Agre. I only exist and I only exist. Eva, twice it came here. Right. Aham evasam. Eva agre. I only exist and certainly I only. So twice emphasis. I only exist and certainly. So that means the Supreme Personality is saying, Aham, the word Aham itself, Prabhupada will explain. The word, when he used the word Aham, that itself is a word which is not referring to Brahman. He is referring to himself. In fact, Prabhupada explains that Krishna is speaking personally to, pointing to himself and saying that I only exist and no one else, not even Brahma, not even Shiva. That all these quotations will come. Eva sameva agre nanyat yat sadasat param. Anyat, anything else. All these, yet all those. Sadasat means the cause and effect. The cause of universe, the effect of the universe. Cause of the universe means Pradhan, Sukshman, Stula, all these Mahatattva, Pradhan, Mahatattva, all these are also not existing that time. So that time he is talking about Ahameva Asmeva Agre, Nanyat Yat Sadasat Param. I only exist that time. So then Paschadaham, even at the end also, or in another way, after the creation. Now it's spoken Agre, before creation, पश्चात, उसके पश्चात, क्या creation के पश्चात, after creation also I exist. Aham, how he exists, he will explain. Prabhupada explains, Acharyas explain. He enters into the world. In all what forms he enters into the world? Can you please tell? How Lord enters into the world after creation? Ah, very good. Thank you. So he enters into the world. Yeah, he himself, Karno Sai Vishnu. Yeah, these are 3 Paramatmas. It's mentioned 3 Paramatmas. In these 3 Paramatma features, Lord exists in relation to this creation. Prakriti Paramatma. Prakriti Paramatma means he is the all our Prakriti. The Karnodal Sai Vishnu is the Paramatma. Ananta Koti Brahmandas are there. For them, he is the Paramatma. And once the creation happens, the Brahmandas come out. And when he enters into each Brahmanda, he is a Garbhoda Sai Vishnu. He is the second Paramatma. Paramatma for what? Paramatma for that Brahmanda body. Your body is considered like a outer shell. So inside is Paramatma. So the whole shell is a Brahmanda. So for that Brahmanda, each Brahmanda has one Garbhoda Sai Vishnu. He is the second Paramatma. And third Paramatma is when he expands again into Kshiroda Sai Vishnu. And each living entity, each atom has a Paramatma. That is Kshiroda Sai Vishnu. So that's how he enters. Paschadaham, I exist. I exist even after creation. Even after, in the sense, the word is not used even. Paschadaham. After creation, I exist. So he exists also he also comes in form of different avatars. Right? In different avatars also he comes to the material world. Like that forms, definitely they are there before creation. All the spiritual forms are existing. They are eternal. We are also eternal. So the Supreme Lord exists in different manifestations in the spiritual world. They are eternal. But Paschadaham, he exists in different incarnations also in this world. That's how also he enters. So in the form of Karnasai Vishnu, Bodhasai Vishnu, Kshirosai Vishnu, and also different avatars, he enters into this world and he exists. Yadetacha. So then how he exists? Yad etad. All this creation also I only. So the question asked the para and apara rupa. So he answered here at the pararupas. All these are pararupas. Ahamevasam. That is pararupa. And also after creation, what are all entered in the creation, they are also called pararupa. Right? There is always pararupa only. It's a supreme form, spiritual forms. They are also pararupas. But what is apararupa? That creation is apararupa. The creation, the material form or the Virat Rupa is the apararupa. So Brahmaji asked, what are your spiritual and material forms? The Lord is answering here by saying that by saying that here the material universe is itself is my material form. The creation itself is a material form. So that's how he answered here. And so avashishyeta sosmyaham. Then after avashishyeta, again after annihilation, the supreme, at the prakritic annihilation, I only exist. Again winding up. So initially exist, and after creation, I entered into creation. Both pararupa and apararupa are existing while the creation. And after annihilation, in winding up, I only exist in pararupa again. So avashishyeta sosmyaham. So in this way, he is saying that I, as a supreme person, in my pararupa, I exist before creation. As pararupa and apararupa, in the form of material Virat Rupa, as apararupa, and as pararupas, all the spiritual forms as paramatmas and avataras, he exists during creation, and again he exists in his pararupas after the annihilation. So, my dear Brahma, please know that I only exist like this in different ways. That's what the main words understanding. So we will. So once you understand the words, then it becomes more clear what Prabhupada is speaking here in different explanation. Okay, please read explanation of aham here.
We should note very carefully that the personality of Godhead is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis himself, pointing out that it is he, the personality of Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is he only who maintains the creation, and it is he only who remains after the end. Because the verse is saying,
yeah, continue.
Brahma, Supreme Lord, the impersonal is.
Please continue.
Puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, is identical with the Lord, the principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more as explained in this verse. Even if impersonalist, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator. I I. Therefore, there is a difference between the two I's, namely the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even the impersonalists. But we must note carefully that in the Vedic literature, these two I's are accepted as one only in the sense of quality.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, I don't know whether you got it. It's quite technical, Prabhupada. Technical in the sense, simple, but at the same time, Prabhupada mentioned in a more cryptic way how the created I and creator I, maybe confusing sometimes, but it's a simple fact where it's saying that as a principal I, he expands. When the Lord expands, we are in quality basically. We are in quality, sense of quality, as Prabhupada last also he mentioned. The two eyes are accepted as only in the sense of quality. Because here the question comes, because the Brahma came from the Supreme Lord, then one may question, just like we human beings, just like any species gives birth to the same kind of species. Humans give birth to humans and in general, right? But the question may come, Lord gave birth to Brahma, so whether Brahma has which kind of body? Are the same in terms of everything? That's what the question, no? The Jiva body and the Supreme Lord's body, are there any difference? That was the question. So in the answering that that question also here, Prabhupada explained, clarifying that some may say that okay, the Brahma also same as the Supreme Lord himself. The creator I and the created I, both are same. People may question. That's what the impersonalists say. I put forth the theory of oneness. That Brahma also being the same principle of I, being emanation from the I, the original absolute truth from Krishna, is identical with the principle of I. So one may question, but here Prabhupada clearly mentions that now still, but just by seeing that the Lord is speaking and Brahmaji is hearing, two are there. One is predominator and one predominated. One is asking questions, another is answering. So in that way, the two eyes are different, but the quality is same. As Prabhupada quotes here, the Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. So that was he quotes. Please read this one.
The creates a son, and the son also creates many other sons, and all of them may be one as human beings, but at the same time the father, the son and the grandson are all different. The son cannot take the place of the father. Simultaneously, the father, the son and the grandson are one and different also, as human, but as relatives they are different.
As humans, we are all same. The father begets sons, and all the family members are humans, not other species. Similarly, Supreme Lord, from him, though we are expanded, we are the same in quality. We are the same in quality, but not we are same at all levels. That's what the main point. Provide services, and then this is mainly in the understanding that to understand how we are different from him. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. It will mention more. What are talking to someone that means to one person. All means personally speaking, not from. So here Prabhupada.
Voice is breaking, bro.
From all only.
Roji, last one. Roji, it seems just last 1 minute, some disturbance is there, like speaker is moving or something. No.
No, maybe I think signal issue is there. I think 1 minute. I'll just change.
It's okay, bro. Now it's okay.
Now it's okay.
Roji, it's okay.
Okay. If let me know if something is there. Yeah, please read this one highlighted portion. Please read next devotee.
In another feature of this verse, no one can deny the personalities of both the Lord and Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both the predominator and predominated are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalist that in the ultimate issue, everything is impersonal.
So this is another facet of the verse that personalities both are there. That means it's not there is only Brahman is existing at the Eva Aham Eva Sameva Agre. Oh, Brahma born from Lord. Lord is existing before. So Brahman is not expanded as the Lord. That's what the Mayavadi concept is, that there is one Brahman, which is a complete Nirguna, Nirakar, Nirvishesh. When that Brahman is covered by Maya in different modes, and different creations happen. That's what the Mayavadi theory. So there is one Brahman. So when Brahman is covered by goodness, what will happen? Then there is forms of avatars. When Brahman is covered by passion, then there is called jivas. When Brahman covered by mode of ignorance, then it is called matter. So that's how they explained. So that a covering of Brahman by Maya gives rise to the forms of different avatars and different jivas and different inert matter. That's the main explanation of the impersonalist. If you ask, okay, why Brahman is covered by Maya, and what is Maya? Because there is nothing second. If you ask, those are the main critical questions for the opponents, the Purva Paksha. So you are saying and there was nothing except Brahman. Then from where Maya came? What is Maya? And how Maya covered Brahman, which is more superior in nature? How can Brahman can be covered? So these are very critical questions that were put forward by Acharyas. If you are saying only Brahman is existing, then how this is all happened? How at all it's covered? Even Prabhupada also mentions, if you are God, why you became dog? That's the main understanding there. How Brahman is covered by Maya. So their understanding is when it is covered by mode of goodness, when Brahman covered by mode of goodness, then all the deities, the forms of the Lord are manifest, which is not at all true. As here mentioned, Aham Evasam Evagre. By that it is established that Aham, I, the Supreme Lord, I am existing before the creation itself, before even modes of nature existing. That's the next point comes. Nanyat Yat Sadasat Param. There was nothing kind of a material existing, that time I was there. That means I am beyond the modes. That is extremely clear. So of course they also say Brahman is beyond the modes. But the Supreme Lord himself is saying here that even Prabhupada quotes many quotes from Upanishads and Vedas that Vasudevo va idam agra asin na Brahma na cha Shankaraha ego vai Narayana asin na Brahma na Ishanaha, etc. These are all famous quotations. So therefore the difference between the created and the creator is always there, but although both the creator and created are same quality. So Prabhupada established that one. And next he says about the second Eva, Aham Eva Asam Eva Agre. That means Lord is existing. Lord is existing doesn't mean that he's alone. He's just existing. No. So another feature of this verse is the statement that the supreme truth is Bhagavan, the supreme personality of Godhead. How is Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, and his kingdom have already been explained. So Aham Eva, that Eva, the second Eva, I am existing certainly, means that he is not existing alone. He is existing all with his kingdoms, Vaikuntha Lokas. Please read this para.
explanation of Eva in Aham Evasmam Ever. Another feature of this verse is the statement that the supreme truth is Bhagwan, or the personality of Godhead. The personality of and his kingdom have already been explained. The kingdom of Godhead is not void as conceived by the impersonalist. The Vaikuntha planets are full of transcendental variegatedness, including the 400 residents of those planets with great opulence of wealth and prosperity. And there are even airplanes and other amenities required for high upgrade personalities. Therefore, the personality of Godhead exists before the creation, and he exists with all transcendental variegatedness in the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas, also accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as being of the Sanatana nature, are not annihilated even after the annihilation of the manifested cosmos. Those transcendental planets are of a different nature altogether, and that nature is not subjected to the rules and regulations of material creation, maintenance, or annihilation. The existence of the personality of Godhead implies the existence of the Vaikuntha Lokas, as the existence of a king implies the existence of the kingdom.
So here the word aham evasam eva, the second eva, means that certainly I exist. Only that means that not only Krishna or the Supreme Lord exists, also all the kingdom, the whole the Supreme, the Tripada Vibhuti. Ekapada Vibhuti is our material creation. Tripada Vibhuti is a spiritual world, is eternally existing. There is no kind of any, when you say about creation, is only in relation to the material creation. There is no kind of a creation in the spiritual world, because there is no kind of creation or maintenance or destruction in that sense, in one sense. There is no kind of a creation or destruction, not at all. It's continually existing, simply. It's eternal. So the spiritual world is indicated by this ahameva sameva agre. So that's Prabhupada explains from different quotations from different verses how is existing, how spiritual worlds are also existing, even when there is no creation itself. He quotes many Puranas and quotations. Please read the highlighted portion.
The activities of Brahma.
The top one.
Okay. Not to speak of the personality of Godhead himself, even his devotees are not annihilated during the period of the annihilation of the entire material world. The Lord is ever existent in all three stages of material changes.
Yeah, this is talking about the Skanda Puran. From Skanda Puran is quoting Kashi Kanda. So even devotees there, basically the Tripad Vibhuti is always existing there. So now Prabhupada quotes how the spiritual world is full of activities, and there are forms and qualities of the Lord and devotees. As the last verse we discussed, so same thing Prabhupada reflected. Prabhupada writes from the previous verse here, explanation of Yadarupa Gunakarmakaha. The Supreme Lord has activities in his world. The activities of Brahma and other demigods during the maintenance of the creation are to be understood as the activities of the Lord. In the sense that whatever the activities are going on here, in the sense they are inspired by the Lord. So the king or the head of the executive of the state may not be seen in the government offices, for he may be engaged in royal comforts. Yet it should be understood that everything is being done under his direction and everything is at his command. So this is another explanation to say that Lord is existing before creation. This is a third sense. One is that he is existing as having supreme form, with his qualities, and then his kingdom is existing. And the third sense of that meaning, third sense of the phrase meaning is that he is having so many activities. When we say when you say, okay, as Prabhupada giving example here, executive head. Let us suppose today Mr. Mohan didn't come to office. Mr. Mohan is not present in the office. Let us suppose if one says that doesn't mean what it means. It means he is not coming to. He is not. He is absent in the office. Means that somewhere else he is doing some other activities. Maybe he's at his home and having company of his family members, or he went to. He took his family to some tour or some wherever. So that means he is not present here. He's also giving sense that it's not just saying that okay, he is not doing anything at all. No, he is doing some other activities. So that's the sense Prabhupada is also giving here example. So though a head of executive state may not be seen in the government office, he may be engaged in his royal comforts. Means there he is doing some other activities, spiritual activities. Some other activities. For in Supreme Lord's case, that sense is given that he is not existing in this universe. Means that creation not happened. Ahameva sameva agre. No, if he's not existing, doesn't mean that he is not doing anything. No, he is doing his wonderful activities in the spiritual world. He has his own activities in the spiritual world. In that sense, that is also meaning is taken aham evasam evagre. So that's how these three explanations are indicated by this term aham evasam evagre. Then the explanation of how Krishna is souls of all, even to Mahavishnu Prabhupada explains from different quotations from Puranas and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So then to establish how he is only existing before the creation. Therefore, in all ways, this confidential part of the spiritual knowledge is the realization of the personality of Godhead, not his impersonal Brahman feature. So, supreme form and his qualities and his activities is the ultimate realization in the spiritual life. Even in the impersonal existence of the Lord, as it is in the middle creation, one should aspire for the personal realization of the Lord. And that is the meaning of Paschadaham Iretascha Yuvavashishayat Svaismaham. So overall, as we discussed that overall pointing to the personality of Godhead, and we need to develop more and more faith and more attraction towards him, not to the any kind of impersonal liberation. That's Prabhupada indicating here. Please read this one, the highlighted portion.
Therefore, the verse under discussion, beginning Aham Eva, never indicates anything other than the Supreme Lord, and one should therefore follow the path of Brahma Sampradaya, or the path from Brahmaji to Narad to Vyas, etc., and make it a point in life to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, or Lord Krishna.
Yeah, continue.
This very confidential instruction to the pure devotee of the Lord was also given to Arjuna as well to Brahma in the beginning of the creation. The demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, Indra, Chandra, and Varun are undoubtedly different forms of the Lord for execution of different functions and the different elemental ingredients of material creation, as well as the multifarious energies are emanations of the same personality of Godhead. But the root of all of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One should be attached to the root of everything rather than bewildered by the branches and leaves. That is the instruction given in this verse.
So that's what Prabhupada mainly focused on how Supreme Lord is existing and his activities and his form and his personality. That is mostly whole purport is covered and to establish the personality with the different codes. But other aspects are also there. Yeah, Sad Sat Param. Sat means the cause. The cause means all the material ingredients. Once the creation happens, from there, Their main comes the Pradhana and Mahatattva. Right? Mahatattva is there, then Pradhana comes, then false ego comes, and all further happens by the glance of Lord Vishnu. So that Nanyad, that time there was no any kind of all this Sat, Asat, Param. Param means Param in one Acharya explains about this is Pradhana itself. So Nanyat, these are all not existing. That time when I was existing alone, that time they are not there. Paschadaham, after creation, I entered into the creation. Whole creation is myself. As Prabhupada also explained that how all the Brahmas and all the demigods, the last pair also, how they are working. Though he is not directly present in one sense, but is inspired by the Supreme Lord himself. So he is existing during creation. Yadetacha in the universal form also. That's the meaning, the universal creation. But these aspects are not much highlighted or explained too much. But it's mostly focused on the main point that how Supreme Lord is the personality who is existing in different forms and different activities, different qualities. He is only existing, and Brahman is not the ultimate. The main point of this verse, Prabhupada establishing here. But also, when we say Aham Eva Asam Eva Agre, means it's not only Supreme Lord is not just existing, he is existing with his kingdom and also with his activities. Just like the example of king. King means kingdom. And king is not present in the court or the sabha. When king is not present, that means that he is present somewhere else with his family members. That is also another meaning. So these three are explained how that the Lord is existing means existing is not just existing, he is existing with all his kingdom. And his Lord is not present now in the world, in the created world, means that he exists somewhere with his activities are also is doing. That's the main understanding is given. Okay. And before going next verse, we will just go through the purport given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There he gives a slight more comprehensive understanding about the four aspects of these things. We will just go through that one and then we'll come back. So here is more crisp, he explains. The Chaitanya Charitamrita is written in 72, 73, like that. So the same verses here, just to give more understanding here, I'm just going through this one. So the first verse about 51, Jnanam Paramaguhyam. There Prabhupada says it's almost same thing, that Lord is giving the knowledge and realization. Can you please read this one? Rahasyam. Are you able to see?
No, Prabhuji, not yet.
Oh, sorry.
They're saying the word document.
Is it okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rahasyam, yeah. Rahasyam Prema Bhakti. The mystery of this knowledge culminates in personal attachment to the Lord with the resulting effects of detachment from anything non-Krishna.
So Rahasyam is Prema Bhakti, Angam Sadhana Bhakti, Prabhupada explains here. These are the Angam. Sadhana Bhakti means the 9 alternative transcendental means, attaining stage of hearing, chanting, etc. He explains all this. Jnana, Vijnana, the knowledge about the Lord. And Rahasyam Prema Bhakti culminates in personal attachment. Personal attachment refers to Prema Bhakti, personal relationship in 5 rasas. And detaching from everything else by Sadhana Bhakti. That he explains in the first verse. Second verse 52, Yavanaham, where he says that you will understand my form, innumerable forms, as we discussed that there are different forms of the Lord. Yeah, one indicates different forms, innumerable forms with colors and these special qualities: white, red, yellow, sham, cloud-like sham color. These qualities, what are the qualities? Responsive personality of Godhead. Prabhupada, beautiful term. The responsive personality of Godhead. The pure devotees. His personality. Oh, sorry. Is it okay now?
No.
Is it audible?
No, Prabhu.
No? 1 minute. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Yeah,
Hare
we are
Hare.
able to hear you, bro. Now it is okay. Now it is okay.
Okay. So here Prabhupada explaining about same innumerable forms, how in this verse it's, the forms are explained. Krishna is saying that by my mercy, Madanugrahat, I will reveal my form. I will reveal my form with the different colors. I will reveal my existence. I will reveal my rupa, guna, and karma qualities. All this you will understand by my mercy. Prabhupada explaining the almost same thing here. This verse. We cannot discover the mysteries of the Lord by our mundane endeavors. They are only revealed by His grace. These mysteries are gradually disclosed to the various grades of devotees in proportion to the gradual development of their service attitude. This is the main point. The Prabhupada mentions how they are revealed. Atah Sri Krishna Namadina Bhavet Grahim Indriyai Sevoन्मुखे हि जिह्वादौ स्वयमेव स्फुरत्यतः. The more we develop particular service attitude in particular form, we gradually develop our spiritual relationship. So here Prabhupada explains more crisp way how Aham means I. Please read the highlighted portion. We'll pause here after reading.
Aham, when spoken by Krishna, refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and nothing else. Meaning of Aham: before the creation and after its dissolution, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His associates exist. There is no existence of the material element.
Here you see, Nanyat Sadasat Param, no material existence was there. Yeah.
There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, and on each of them, Vishnu resides with his associates and his paraphernalia. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that although the creation is periodically dissolved, there is another abode which is never dissolved. The word creation refers to the material creation, because in the spiritual world, everything exists eternally and there is no creation or dissolution.
Yeah.
If one thinks of the king, he automatically thinks of his secretaries, ministries, military commanders, palaces, and so on. Since a king has such opulence, one can simply try to imagine the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord says Aham, therefore it is to be understood that he exists with full potency, including all opulences.
Yeah, here the example of king. In two ways, Prabhupada explains. Two ways in the sense, two different features. King exists means his kingdom is also existing. And king is not present in the kingdom or in the Sabha. Means that he is doing some activities, some other activities. So Yat refers to Brahman also in another way. Also Pradhan also. The Param word Pradhan also it refers, but the Yat refers to Brahman. Yat Sadasat Param. The Brahman energy. So from that Brahman energy, the creation appears just as cloud appears in sunshine. Prabhupada explains how from sunshine In sunshine, basically, all the planets are existing. That's what Prabhupada mentions. Example of sun is given here, comparing to the Supreme Lord and the Brahman and the clouds compared to material energy. So Sat is effect, Asat is the cause, and Param refers to ultimate truth, which is transcendental to cause and effect, everything else. Paschadaham indicate that the Lord exists after the resolution of this cosmic manifestation. Yeah, though in both ways, Paschadaham is explained in that after creation also. Ahameva sameva kare. So I was there. Paschadaham. After creation also I exist. Here the meaning, another way explained that Paschadaham, Prabhupada explains that after dissolution also. Generally the word avashishyata actually explains after annihilation of everything. But here also another reflection is seen. Prabhupada explains Paschadaham also means after dissolution also. But the meaning will be almost same. Almost means everything is Krishna only exists. Before creation, during creation, and after creation. So the whole para Prabhupada explains how Krishna exists during creation. So in that way he explains that Paschadaham. He explains about the sun example. Yeah, please last one.
Yoga indicates that the Lord is the balance that exists after the dissolution of the creation. The spiritual manifestation never vanishes. It belongs to the internal energy of the Supreme Lord and exists eternally. When the external manifestation is withdrawn, the spiritual activities in Goloka and the result of the Vaikuntha continue, unrestricted by material time, which has no existence in the spiritual world. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 15.6, it is said, Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamma paramam mama. The abode from which no one returns to this material world is the supreme abode of the Lord.
Yeah. So Prabhupada explains quite a little more in crisp way here, explaining different terms. Almost same concept. The main point is that we need to develop more and more service attitude to particular personality. By that, we develop a particular relationship with the Lord, and that by the mercy of the Lord, we'll realize His form and His activities, and we return to Him, back to Godhead. So, the main point of the 4 verses will always the central point is that He is the personality, and to Him we need to get attached by performing bhakti. So that will be the main point of these 4 verses in upcoming verses as well. But he is explaining the same 4 questions, Jnana, Vijnana, Sarhasyam, Tadangam. He will explain according to the 4 questions. Now he explained about himself. This verse is all about himself, the Lord himself. The next question is about energies. Now how energies will are expanded, how they are dependent on the Lord, how they are making their manifestations. We will discuss tomorrow, or not tomorrow, maybe next week. That will be text 34 in the 2nd canto 9th chapter. So their energies are explained, how manifested, and of course that may not take much time. Other 2-3 verses, not so big, but still in one class maybe we can cover. Let us see. So thank you so much for your patient hearing and enthusiastic participation. Hare Krishna, we pause here for today. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada, thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Maybe
Hare Krishna.
if you have a question, maybe in next class we can take Hare Krishna.